Hey, welcome to another episode of Driving the Virtual World, where I drive the tracks of the world with my trusty old Alfa Romeo Giulia. And yes, I will drive all the tracks with this car, because it's my favorite car in real life, and I found this in Assetto Corsa, and I thought it would be a great idea to drive this car on all the tracks and take you with me on the journey around the world. In the first episode we were on the old Nürburgring on the Nordschleife, the short track just over 2 kilometers long that connects the Nordschleife and the Südschleife. And today I want to show you the whole thing. I go the Nürburgring' Gesamtstrecke, that's what it's called. Translate to Nürburgring, the whole track, something like this. And I like to show you a bit around on the track. And when the Nordschleife was built in 1927, it was not only the Nordschleife, of course, they added the Südschleife as well. A little loop just over 3 kilometers long, which is quite similar to the experience you have if you drive the Nordschleife, but it's rarely used together for any races. So I thought it would be a good idea to show you this beautiful piece of asphalt too. And if you come down the start-finish straight, you will have the choice if you go right on the Nordschleife or you go left or straight on the Südschleife, and that's what we did today. You can drive this track alone as a track on its own, or you can drive it together with the Nordschleife as the Nürburgring' Gesamtstrecke, and that's what it's called today. As you can see on the map where it's located, this is about the area that is used today for the modern Nürburgring. So of course most of the parts of the track are no longer there. This corner here is called Müllenbach, and you find a Müllenbach-Kehre on the new Nürburgring too. So you can see that is about the same area that is completely redone. So all that's left of the Südschleife are a couple of roads and this virtual version, of course. And if you download the Nürburgring'67 version of the track, which I already recommended in the first episode, you have this one, of course, as well. And you have the Nordschleife alone and different versions of the track and variants that you can try, and I think it is an absolute must-have, this track. And now we are passing Scharfer Kopf, that is the tightest corner on the Südschleife. And now we have this fast left turn, and then we are approaching the back straight of the Betonschleife, which I showed you in the last episode, of course. This may look familiar. You see the grandstands on the right side and the pit buildings we are passing on the back straight now. And then is the bank corner, and we of course will not turn right now to have the Betonschleife once again. We are going straight and we are entering the Nordschleife now. And this one is the turn 1 on the Nordschleife, which today is of course named Sabine Schmidt's corner. Named after the famous German racing driver, the Queen of the Ring, who died much too early, of course, in the last year. We are now driving through the Hudson Bar Complex. Quite a difficult combination of corners. Today the track is fitted with curving you can drive over. This was not the case in the early days of the track. The banking we have here you should avoid on all circumstances, because it can upset the car severely. This corner is called Hoheneichen, and that one is followed by the Quiddelbacher Höhe, named after the small village located here. And then on top of the hill, of course, that is the famous Flugplatz. Flugplatz means airport, and that is the reason the corner has this name. There was a small airport for sports planes not far away from here. This part of the track is called Cottonborn. This name is no longer used today. Cottonborn is the small village to the right of the track. And now we are approaching the Schwedenkreuz. Schwedenkreuz is the fastest corner on the track. And as you can see, like on the rest of the track, no guardrails, no runoffs, which made the track, of course, very dangerous. And that's why Jackie Stewart, of course, gave him the name Green Hell. And now we enter the famous Fuchsröhre. I know a couple of corners or areas here on the track have a different name or different pronunciation in English. But I thought maybe you find it helpful to have a real German pronunciation as we brake for the Adenora Forest area, which of course is one of the slower corners on the track and the scene of a lot of hilarious accidents in real life. Lots of videos there on YouTube of people crashing their family cars there. Now we are approaching Metzgesfeld, a corner that I find difficult in any car. Well, it's not difficult if you go slow, but we don't want to go slow, of course. Another remark on the English names given for the track and for some corners. I don't know who started that, but I often heard the name Nord or Nords for the Nordschleife, and I can tell you no one ever says Nord or Nords in Germany. I'm not sure if any British YouTuber started this, but to me it just sounds wrong to call it Nords, because no one ever says silver to Silverstone. I don't know, I think Nordschleife is the right name, and I think you can manage to call it Nordschleife, I guess. Enough of that. This is the slowest corner on the track, the Wehrseifen corner, which is even slower in the old version of the Nürburgring. And now we go downhill, approaching the Adenauer Bridge. The braking point here is critical. Even on the modern track there is no runoff. And now we go a steep uphill climb called the Ex-Mühle. And now we approaching the corner where Niki Lauda had his big accident. The corner has no real name on the track, but it's often referred as the Lauda corner, of course, and it's this one. Normally you can take that flat if your car is okay, but I guess Niki's car wasn't in that moment, so he crashed, and we all know the story about it. And after passing the Bergwerk corner, this area is Kesselchen, and Kesselchen is uphill all the time. You don't really notice because it's not very steep, but your engine will notice because it's running out of power, and you are always wondering why you can't go faster here. But as I said, it's uphill, and everybody would like to have another 100 horses under the hood here. The next fast left is called Mutkurve, which translates to Bravery Corner. It's the next one. And these days it's quite fast and almost flat in any car. But in those days, back in the day, in the 60s, you needed a lot of bravery to master that one. The next right kink is called Klostertal, and then we are approaching Stagecracker. This is the part of the track slightly on the left, where it goes straight on up the hill. That one was used to test drive cars back in the day, and you can drive this part of the track as the Stagecracker loop. And now we are approaching the most famous corner on the track, of course the Carousel, where you can lose quite some time if you can't make it into the banking. And you can lose even more time if you make it into the banking but are too fast and glide out of that. Now we are approaching the Hohe Acht. Hohe Acht is the highest elevation here in the Eifel region. So that's what the corner got its name from. It's this one here. But this corner is not the highest part of the track, because it's only on the foothills of the elevation. The highest part of the track actually is turn 1 on the Nordschleife. Now we are at Hedwigshöhe, which is followed by the Wippermann, a part of the track that I find equally enjoyable and difficult at the same time. On the modern track here is a lot of curbing where you can run over, not so on the old version, and it's a very good idea to stay away from the curbing here. And we are now passing Eschbach and approaching another very famous part of the track, which is called Princeton. And this is the part where really lots of spectators are all the time. And here you have a jump that is no longer with us on the modern track. That was flattened out because we had some hilarious accidents in this area back in the day on the old track. And now we come to the ice curve, the ice corner. I don't know if the corner got its name from because it's lacking grip, because it's always in the shadow. And now this one is Flint Garden 1. With a real car you brake before the jump, because you don't want to destroy your drive shafts. In most sims you can brake at or just after the jump. And now we come to Flint Garden 2, the only part of the track where cars lift off on the modern version. The S's we come to now didn't have a name back in the day, but today they are called the Bellof S's, named after Stefan Bellof, another German talented racing driver who died much too young, and most of you may know the story behind that as well. Now we have the Schwalbenschwanz, the perfect corner to ruin your lap after all this hard work, as I have done so many times. And now we set up the car for the Kleiner Carousel, the small carousel. Another opportunity to ruin your lap, because if you go too fast here and slide out of the banking, chances are high you disappear into the hedges and never to be seen again. Last couple of corners before the long straight. This is Gulgenkopf, and now we are approaching Döttinger Höhe. Gulgenkopf is very important to get the most speed onto the straight, and Döttinger Höhe is similar but of course completely different. Does that make sense? I think it does, because you see the hedges here right at the track, no runoffs, and Döttinger Höhe was very bumpy and very narrow back in the day. This was the first area of the track where they introduced guardrails and moved back the hedges, because you can imagine it's not a good idea to run into the hedges at top speed. The bridge now it's called Antonius Beach, that is, and then it's Tiergarten, and then we come to the Hohenrhein chicane, the Hohenrhein chicane, a part that I can never get right, braking down from top speed. And this chicane was introduced at the beginning of '67 to slow cars down for another lap of the Nordschleife. And now we almost completed the lap. You see the pit buildings there on the right. And now we have made it a lap on the Nürburgring' Gesamtstrecke. I think I have a drink now, slowing down for the pits. I hope you have enjoyed the lap on the greatest circuit of all time. I think the Nordschleife will always be the biggest challenge in the racing world, and together with the Südschleife it is even more of a challenge. So thank you very much for watching. I will not remind you to subscribe to the channel, as I'm sure you do that anyway. I hope you will be here for the next lap on the virtual world. And until then, have a great day. Bye bye.